This is Arnold Dix, a lawyer.
How many members of the Victorian Bar have emus, do you think?
Look, I know they're on the coat of arms.
A farmer.
The kangaroos have eaten them all. Oh well. But we'll run through, we'll re-rotary hoe all this.
And the hero behind an extraordinary rescue.
Start off with that dramatic rescue in India.
When 41 miners were trapped while building a new road beneath the Himalayas, India called on Australian tunnel expert Arnold Dix.
This is an incredible rescue. After more than 2 weeks underground, all 41 workers trapped inside a collapsed tunnel in India have been pulled to safety.
Anything is possible. The impossible is possible. And that's what we did here.
And the eccentric 59-year-old Aussie's relaxed approach earned him celebrity status in India and at home, as well as praise from the Prime Minister.
I rise to acknowledge a truly great Australian, Professor Arnold Dix.
Plums, pears.
But away from his tunnel gallantry, this self-proclaimed nerd leads an eclectic life with his wife and daughter in Mombok, about an hour from Melbourne.
So I'm going to tell you a story about the rescue in the Himalayas.
And it's here at the local high school in his hometown that he's sharing his extraordinary rescue story.
Now, before I share my story, this epic battle of wit, I need to give you a quick geology lesson, a quick intro to tunnelling real quick.
True to his quirky nature, Professor Dix gave much of the 1-hour presentation in rhyming poetry.
I don't know if any of you have ever saved anyone's life, but it's kind of cool and it makes you want to do poetry. So the moral of this story, a fact that's surely true, is kind people can do anything when together their hearts are true.
It's that moral of this story that Arnold Dix is so eager to share. That and his raspberries when we met him on his family farm.
They'll be the most sweet raspberries ever. Just...
Do you mind?
Just...
Does it feel like real life to you that, you know, you're the guy from the raspberry farm in Mombok and you're also the sort of celebrity in India that saved 41 people?
I think actually they're quite similar. And I know that sounds really odd, but in order to be sensitive to what had to be done in India, you have to be a little bit sensitive in how to do things in Australia. And this is a really nice place. And we do really lovely things here, not in some kooky kind of way.
Perhaps not kooky to him, but on Arnold's farm, the Indian rescue mastermind, are 3 emus, donkeys, and his very own Stonehenge.
On Mum's birthday, the sun rises above this rock, according to the eastern horizon.
Arnold Dix has lived quite the life. While working as a barrister, he uses his engineering expertise to consult on major infrastructure projects around the world. But his main passion is tunnels, and he's studied them his entire professional life. As part of his role as president of the International Tunnel Association, he's been involved in several rescue attempts.
How successful are these rescue missions in most cases?
They're normally very successful at retrieving bodies.
So not live people?
No, that's not normally on my list. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why people don't and wouldn't have ever heard of me, because no one really wants to know about that.
How do you find it all, like the celebrity of your husband?
It's like a surprise because we didn't expect it. Like usually when he come home from all the investigation disaster, he will just quiet and, nobody really know what he's doing.
It can be risky business and keeps his wife Davina up at night.
He keep on telling me that it's not really dangerous, or I'm not really going into that danger zone.
Just sometimes I might be a little shy on the complete truth, just a little.
Arnold Dix's rise to international fame began in November when he was called into action a few days after a tunnel being built as a road to connect sacred sites in India collapsed on some of the workers building it. It was already an enormous news story in India, so the hopes of over 1 billion people rested on him.
I felt that we were going to get 41 men home and no one was going to get hurt. I just didn't know how.
For several days while the men were trapped, Arnold Dix and his team tried to figure out ways to get the men out.
The mountain was busy teaching us lessons, basically. So as clever as we wanted to be from an engineering, sort of geophysical point of view, whatever we were doing, which was hard, like big auger, like big forces, like look at us, we're big and tough, every time the mountain would just respond by wrecking whatever it was. And it would often tease us too. So we'd almost get a pipe through, we were just about ready to get even a better connection, and then bang, we'd hit something and we couldn't do it anymore and we'd blow that machine up.
He and India's chief engineer devised a strategy, the specs of which were drawn on this notebook.
So the huge 41 people rescued notebook, which has all my notes, right? Every possible thing, and this is it, right? All my notes for that rescue are...
That's it.
Yep, except for the most and only important thing, which is the design of the rescue rings. So myself and another professor, we sketched up what we needed for our rings. That's it. And we built them.
The strategy was to burrow a small tunnel that would eventually reach the trapped men.
Like we're talking this much at a time, and we set about doing it, put little people down a big pipe, and we just excavate it by hand, softly by hand, rock at a time. Once the pipe was through and it was safe and the emergency people went in, the guys on the other side just went, we'll just run out. And so they all ran out.
And after running out, the 41 workers eventually went home. Arnold Dix says he and those men will forever have a spiritual bond, and he'll remember the moment he shared with them once they saw daylight.
They were just so grateful, hugging me, smiling, just so happy to be alive, I think. Because they know, just like I know, what normally happens. But it didn't happen that way. They got out, they got their lives back. And it was just a really human experience to actually see the eyes and the smiles of people whose lives might have ended.
He knows the fame from his extraordinary rescue could be fleeting, but while he has his moment in the spotlight, he's eager to share his philosophies on life.
I'm famous for all the reasons that someone should be famous for, and that is because I just got involved in something nice, and I didn't do it for money, and I didn't do it for fame. It shows other people you don't have to be so mean and you don't have to be so complicated. You could just kind of just be nice, like just be nice. And you know, I adopted those 41 Indian young men. I adopted them like they were my kids because they may as well have been.